Everyone, welcome back to the channel. So anyone that's on the community page on YouTube will know that I had asked you if you'd be interested in the new year seeing me do some cooking, predominantly baking because I love to do that, but just for something different on the channel, because as much as I love doing the beauty treatments, and that's obviously what I'm trained in and that's my main job, I also do love to cook, and it's something that I've done since I was little, helping to bake and learning how to cook the basics and evolving from that. And for Christmas, I actually got a little mini ice cream maker, and I've never had one before. So I thought it would be a really fun thing. It could go wrong. This is jeopardy because I've not tried it before. To make a homemade ice cream with you today and just see how it goes. So what all it is basically, and again I'm saying basically because that's what it says in the book, is that you just chill the bottom part of the ice cream maker for about 24 hours. So let's see if we can open that. So this has got liquid inside it. So when you get it brand new, you can hear it sloshing about. So that's been chilled for 24 hours. I'm going to make the basic chocolate ice cream mixture. And then the theory is that when you pour it in, after about 30 minutes onwards, you've got an ice cream. So when you press this button, that's your paddle. So this is going to be going round and round in the ice cream maker when we actually make this ice cream. So that's the theory. Let's give it a try. So I'm going to turn on a very low heat, and all I'm going to use is double cream and chocolate. So because it's the week in between Christmas and New Year, I've got lots of chocolate to choose from, and I've got the Twin Peaks. If anyone in the UK knows what a Twin Peaks is, it might be similar to another pointy style chocolate. This one's a honeycomb crisp. So in theory, we're making a chocolate honeycomb ice cream. So I've got a low heat on just now, and I think it's a low heat because you don't want to curdle your cream. Now, this is going to be too much of a mixture because this is a very small ice cream maker. So I'm going to use all of this and all of the chocolate because I'm using up everything that's left over from Christmas. But what I'm going to do is pour in as much as would be advisable within this ice cream maker. And it does say in the instructions that you've got to leave at least an inch from the top because ice cream expands as it dries. So whatever's left over, again, purely because I'm into baking and making nice things, cream and chocolate together makes a ganache, and when you chill a ganache, you can make chocolate truffles. So my theory is, which may or may not work, what fits into the ice cream machine will make ice cream, and what's left over I'll chill down and I'll make chocolate honeycomb crisp truffles. If that is also a possibility and if it works, I'll either film it or I'll let you see a finished result. So this is on a low heat. I am going to pour in this chocolate. I might have to try a little bit because you've got to make sure that you're happy with how it tastes, of course. I'll just take my time here. So I don't have lots of tiny chunks here. Now, some of you will know that when you're melting chocolate, you'll use a bain-marie, but for this particular recipe, they just advise melting the chocolate into the cream on a low heat. Oh, I forgot to try a bit. Oh, gutted. You do realise if I wasn't cooking in front of you that I would just take a bit out. But I've got to pretend that I won't do that. Now this part is going to take a little bit of time, but it's all about patience. So if you turn up the heat too high, it will stick to the bottom and you could either burn your chocolate, burn your cream, split it. Not good. So it's just about taking time and watching for that chocolate to melt. Now that's quite a hard bar to break up, so I tried to break it within the packet as much as I could. If it was just a normal bar of chocolate, I would really try and bash it up into individual squares, but it's not always that easy. And I deliberately picked a pan that I can pour from because I don't know if you can see here, but there's tiny little sections in the ice cream maker, and that's what you'll be pouring into. So if your pan didn't pour very easily, it could be quite messy, especially because it says you've got to have the paddle on. but we're just keeping this moving. And is anyone like me? It's really hard not to just want to try this just now. It's all the things that I like. Because I like healthy food, but I love my treats too. And let's be honest, when else are you going to use a huge bar of chocolate? Back in the day, I wouldn't have thought twice about just getting stuck into it on Christmas morning. But then you grow up and you realise that you can't, or you choose not to. It's a bit of both now. I think you reach an age when you know it's the wrong thing to do. I hate to say I've reached that age. So I can feel the gentle heat here. So it's just about patience. And what I'll do, so that you're not too bored, is that you can come back to me once this is melted. Right, so that's us. The chocolate's now melted. There are little bits of honeycomb running through it because that's what was in the bar. Now, I would say that took about 5 minutes, so I didn't want to bore you rigid, so I sped it up a little bit. But as long as you keep moving it and it's on a low heat, it's quite a relaxing process. Obviously, I had to try a little spoon just to make sure it tasted good, and it definitely does. So according to the instructions, you've got to keep the bowl in the freezer until the last possible minute. So that's exactly what I did. After I quickly chatted you through the basics, I put it back in the freezer. And then the instructions are to allow this to cool. So it's not completely cold, but it is definitely cool. And then there's some gaps on either side to pour in the mixture. As I said, there's far too much here, but I'm going to let that cool. And that should allow me to make some chocolate truffles with the mixture when it's cooled later on today or tomorrow. Now, I am left-handed, but for some reason there are certain things where I'm ambidextrous, and for some reason what I want to do, and I don't know why, is I want to pour it from the right, so I'm going to use my right hand for this. I don't understand why I write with the left, but a lot of the time I prefer to use my right, but I suppose that is ambidextrous. So what it says that you do is you never pour it in without starting the paddle, or it will just freeze on contact. So I'm going to start the paddle, and I am going to start pouring the mixture. I'm taking time with it. This is new to me. I've not used this before, and I've not made ice cream. So 2 new things. And I'm just keeping an eye out because you can see through the top. I'm trying to make sure that I keep at least an inch from the top so it doesn't expand and cause issues. I think I'm getting close, so I'm going to stop about there. Now, I don't know if you can see that. There's not a lot to see, but the paddle is literally just going round and round. It's touching the edges. I read the instructions and it says that the paddle touches the edges completely so that you don't get big frozen parts, or big parts that just stuck to the edge and didn't actually make a smooth ice cream. According also to the instructions, it takes about 30 minutes to create a soft scoop, but depending on your ingredients, that's subject to change. You can put alcohol in, but that will change how it freezes. You can make sorbets. So I am going to allow this to do its thing for 30 minutes, and then we'll come back and we'll see how it's looking. Now, apparently at those 30 minutes, if it has gone to a soft scoop, you could just eat it there and then, or you could keep it going, or you could take that chilled part and move it to the freezer. I think what you could also do is take it out of the chilled part, you could put it into a container, and you could keep it in the freezer in that container. So I think you've got lots of options. But again, I have decided to do this for the first time with yourselves. Who knows, by the end of this we might have a milkshake. So we'll count 30 minutes, we'll come back and we'll see if we've got a chocolate honeycomb ice cream, and I've got everything crossed. So this is it at 30 minutes, but I must admit it's not set, and I didn't know if it would set within the 30 minutes because this is why I wanted to do it in real time with you, because how often have we tried something out for the first time and it doesn't go exactly as the instructions? So I almost wanted to throw myself in at the deep end to prove to you that if you're trying these for the first time and they don't go especially exactly to the letter, then you just have to have the confidence to work around it. So from all of the hundreds of programs I've watched where they make ice cream in the ice cream makers and the books and the recipes that I've read, I am optimistic that this is the stage where it's not in any way solid, but it's cool. And when you actually, I tried a little bit and it's very, very cool. So I'm confident that if I do what it also says in the instructions that you can do, which is put it into the freezer to finish it off, then I'm confident we're going to get a really nice chocolate ice cream. So what I'm going to do now is cover it over, put it in the freezer and give it at least a couple of hours. I'd say maybe 2 to 4 hours, and I'm going to keep checking on it every hour or so, and then I'm going to show you the finished result. Depending on how easy it is to film it within here, if it is solid, I might scoop it out or I might still leave it in here. But I'm really optimistic that by putting it into the freezer for a few hours, we're going to get a lovely chocolate ice cream. So we're going to persevere. It's taken more than 30 minutes. If I'm being honest, I thought 30 was quite optimistic, but we are getting this chocolate ice cream and it's going to be really good. So let's see how it looks after a few hours in the freezer. Hi everyone. So this is an update on the ice cream. So it's the next day. What I decided to do was, I thought it was very optimistic that you could have soft serve in 30 minutes, and by the time the 30 minutes came, it was evident it was going to take a lot longer. So as I was saying previously, when you do read other manuals for how to make your own ice cream that include an ice cream maker, bearing in mind I've never used one before, I gave it the 30 minutes, it was definitely chilled. It was starting to thicken. It was almost like a thick milkshake consistency. And if you think about that, a milkshake is a combination of melted ice cream and the milk and the flavouring. So it was getting to the stage where I think it was on the road to ice cream, but I decided to put it in the freezer. And it was a lot easier just to leave it until today and then see how it goes. So I haven't touched it apart from that, but I thought what we could do is scoop it out and see how it looks, see if it does look like ice cream. So let's see. I'll feel it first. So it definitely feels like ice cream, and it's got that nice melt that you can see on it. So I'm going to try a little bit now. And that's lovely. That's really nice. So other than the fact that it took a lot longer than I thought, that genuinely tastes like really good quality, really fresh ice cream when you go to an ice cream parlour and they're making the different flavours each day. That's lovely. And that was, as you saw before, the double cream and the chocolate, and that was it, just the 2 ingredients. So overall, definitely not ready in 30 minutes. Be prepared to wait, I would say overnight. But wow, that's lovely, that was worth it. And that's me trying out an ice cream maker, having never tried it before and just waiting to try it with you on camera. It is lovely. I promise I'm going to try not to eat this all in one go. But yes, it was worth the wait. But from now on, when I'm trying anything on the channel and I'd like to show you some of my favourite baking that I love to do, they'll all be my old favourites that I do quite frequently. So I'm confident with them and I know how they work. But other than that, I do think it's fun to try things out with you. Just go in cold, pardon the pun with the ice cream, go in cold and just try it with you to see what works and what doesn't. But overall, I would call that a success. So let me know if you've used an ice cream maker yourself or if you make your own. Let me know if you like this style of video, if you've got any recommendations, and I'll see you again soon.